Hello, this is Nick here from Gorgon Reviews. I am talking with Yossy Zagha, director of the feature-length film Quince, aka 15, a film exploring the quinceañera celebrations that many girls have when they turn 15, but with alien pregnancy scares getting in the way. Thank you so much for spending time here today.
Thank you, Nick. Nice to be here.
For this first one, don't think too hard on it, no matter how strange, but what's the first movie you remember seeing in theaters?
Oh, I, I remember going to watch Cinema Paradiso at the theater with my parents. That's one of I don't know, probably before. No, I went to see Karate Kid. I remember that. And Back to the Future in one of those old cinema plexes in Mexico City. That was before. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's one of the few memories I have of me as a child going to the cinema.
Gotcha.
Remember, because in Mexico they used to sell outside of the cinema all these Karate Kid bands, when you went out of the cinema.
Did you
Yeah,
get one of those too?
of course.
Uh, what got you first interested in wanting to work on movies, and what was your first break?
Well, I work with my brother. We're co-directors. My brother is older than me. And since we were kids, my dad always had a video camera, and everywhere he went, he would be taping us. And when he left off the camera, my brother would pick it up and we would do short films between us, like many brothers have done. We would play with the camera, do short films. And then when my brother got older, he decided that he wanted to tell stories in the highest quality possible, and that would be cinema. So he focused on that. I focused more on advertising. I wanted to be a copywriter, and after working a few years at an advertising agency, I realized I'd rather do content that people pay to watch than pay for people to watch my content. So I jumped to the other team.
That is a very interesting switch. From your IMDb, you had a lot of work right now as a producer, and producing is something I rarely get to talk about in these interviews at all. So, do you like it? Do you find it rewarding? What do you feel like you do as a producer?
I feel it's stressful. I think one produces because you have to in a way. I like creative producing, but because I get involved a lot in the story and you shape it by picking people you work with, places you work with, and so yeah, it's where the reality. Kicks in and you have to you can have a lot of dreams of how you want to do things, but then you have to actually do them, so
Mhm.
you need to compromise and find the best way to do it. So I suffer a lot on the production, but in a way I enjoy it when I finally see the final product and how everything works out.
So for 15, this is your second directed film that you're co-directing with your brother. You directed also The Containment before this. Is
Right.
directing where you always saw yourself getting to eventually?
Not really. I'm not obsessed with it.
Mhm.
But working with before that, I produced the movies that my brother directed. My brother directed three films.
Mhm.
And I always was involved also in the directing side in a way. I was always very involved in that as well. But um, in these horror films were more my things that I started liking and so I was more maybe a little more involved than my brother. So that way we decided to co-produce to co-direct. We always co-produce as well,
Mhm.
and he's very focused on directing actors and I always joined him in the other movies as well, but. This time I was more involved. We always, in the way we co-directed the actors, was he was to not give two directions or I would always speak to him and he would speak to the actors, so we don't get two opinions or two. And we always had discussions and debating between us beforehand. So it was really interesting and enriching.
Right. So you were always kind of involved, but now you're now your name's on it involved. It's a little bit more, right?
A little more, yeah.
And since I think you said you kind of have a more of a horror fan, and that's why you're up in here. I did want to put a note on for when I read the description for the containment on IMDb. It says a dark and sinister being enters the body of an innocent child. So what did all these poor kids do to you? Why are they being terrorized in these movies?
Well, it's funny you mentioned the containment. For me, I feel it's an undervalued film in a way because what I liked about the containment was actually if you watch it, I don't know if you watch it, but it's the opposite exactly. The girl is the one who is tormented, is tormenting us. It's a way of for me and the other writer is a spin in the possession movie. So I don't, I'm giving away too much people that haven't watched it, but
Mhm.
for me, that was many times we're afraid of the supernatural, and we should be more afraid of the human beings that surround us. That was kind of the approach we had in Contain. But I find really interesting all these myths and all these legends we have in Mexico. We have a lot. In Quince, we play a little with it. With this creature. So yeah, I like that.
So for 15, we get to explore some of the scariest parts of life, being a teenager, dealing with bullies and your peers, discovering sexuality and its scary consequences, let's say. Is there a certain message you wanted people to walk away from this movie?
Uh, well, I think the underneath value in all the main one because there is a lot of things and a lot of layers about growing up, about being a mom, about but the main one is about friendship and that's the thing that it's put to test along the whole story and but for me, it was a fun story, and this is a movie where I just wanted to have fun and yeah, there is a message, but it's not in your face or trying to be how do you say trying to teach you something, but it is a story about friendship at the end and what would you do for your best friend? At what point would you stop being friends with that person, no?
That's a good question, Finn. Takeaway from that film, I agree. I don't know if the main actresses in the film were also actual teenagers, but was it hard to have them do some of these more uncomfortable, violent themes, I guess, if they weren't?
Yeah, well, the movie when the thing I don't know if you know, we had this movie was shot during the pandemic. We started shooting it during the pandemic in 2020. We had filmed 2.5 weeks when we had to stop. We thought we were gonna stop for a few weeks, and a few weeks turned into 3 years. And when we started shooting it, they were 15 actually. And when we finished shooting it, they were already 18. And yeah, there were things that changed in the actresses actually, but we always had a very and also because it has all the roles are female leads, and we had a very close debate about all their characters, how to do it with the stunts, with all, when they were little, their parents or their guardian was present in all the scenes. A lot of communication and a lot of practice. So these action scenes, we knew exactly how they were going to play out, and they went really well.
That's actually really amusing because, a quinceañera is about celebrating getting to adulthood and all that. And then in the filming of this film, they literally, I mean, it took a while, so it became adults. That's amazing. Here's
Yeah.
a pretty easy two-parter. What was the hardest part about the movie, which you might have just answered, and what was your favorite part about directing this movie?
Yeah, definitely. Like all these years during the pandemic, we were about to throw the towel. We didn't know if we were gonna finish it because we had already spent most of the money we had during the pandemic, and yeah, it was really hard. But also during the shooting, all the blood scenes where because sometimes you only have one or two takes maximum and you have to nail it. But we also practice a lot of that with the special effects guys, both in Mexico and in Argentina. So, and that in a way was the scariest and the most fun to do. Yeah, I don't want to give away exactly scenes, but
Yeah, yeah,
at the ending we had it was funny in a way, and some risky scenes with fire with that we had to control were hard, but were fun to do.
yeah. I can also just on my own say I've never been to a quinceañera, which makes sense as someone probably in Washington State where I'm at now. But I did used to live in Houston, Texas, and I was a middle school teacher, so I was really hoping for like 4 years, like someone eventually would invite me to one. Never happened. But so I got to at least experience it through this film. Not that I'll take it away as this is how quinceañeras clearly always go. Um, you're gonna be at these screenings, right, in Seattle?
Yeah, I'll be there,
Are there any
hopefully.
surprises in store for those who get to go watch it with you?
Yeah, I'll bring a little some memorabilia from the film.
But once again, thank you so much for stopping by and answering some questions about your career and directing the movie 15. 15, of course, is playing a couple times as part of the Seattle International Film Festival. First, it will be playing on Friday, May 15th as a midnight screening, which I'm too old to go to those now. And then Saturday, May 16th at 9 p.m., a more reasonable time for us old people. Any final notes you have?
Just want to thank you and please come watch it at the Seattle Film Festival. Thank you for having me here.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pleasure.